Okay, let's hop into this. Now, Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, season 13. What do we think so far? I think there's been some high highs, and then there's been Sutton's esophagus. Anna Marie Wiley has seemed to be really just a flop of a character so far. Almost so much of a flop that I'm starting to feel bad for her. Do you guys feel like that at all? Like, I just feel like, oh man, did she think this went well? And how she was presented on the trailer where she was like getting at Crystal, I think, I don't know. I'm just so curious what the remainder of the season is going to entail for her character. And we've got to be nearing or close to the end because Andy on the old Twatter last night said, "Hey, I'm preparing for the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills reunion. Give me all your questions," which means we might be close. I think we might only have like about 5 more episodes left. So I'm really curious where we go, but I don't want to say it's a disjointed season, but at the same time, when you compare it to something like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, where you have this overarching plot line that carries throughout the season, we have certain things that carry throughout the season, like whatever the hell Kyle is going through on any given episode, which seems to be so much. But I don't know. It's one of those things that unfortunately you're going to compare Salt Lake and Beverly Hills because they're on back to back at the same time. And it's an unfair comparison because we've had seasons of Beverly Hills that have had that kind of storyline, like the Tom and Erica storyline, or Rinna being a complete freak last season that kind of carried through the entire season. But it's weird. Like, I just don't know what Anna Marie Wiley, why she was presented as a housewife when she barely seems a friend of. I mean, Sutton's dating coach has had more screen time than Anna Marie Wiley, and she's not even mentioned esophaguses. So maybe they're going to make Sutton's date coach a full-time cast member next season. Who knows? Now, this episode, unfortunately, Erica Jane, "I've got COVID. I got the VIN. I can't go on this cast trip." So we have her sitting on the bench, and they go to Ojai. They do their thing there, shopping, all of that stuff. But I don't know. I think it's just coming off Salt Lake, talking about that episode on the podcast, and then going into this, there's just this, I don't know, it's not exhaustion, but there's this, okay, it's another episode of Housewives. Do you ever get like that where you watch the show and you're like, oh, I'm listening to this book right now about Siskel and Ebert. Now, if you don't know Siskel and Ebert, how dare you? But Siskel and Ebert, they kind of invented the thumbs up, thumbs down in regards to movies. Like, we give it 2 thumbs up. And Siskel and Ebert, they were both film critics in Chicago. And I'm reading this this biography on both of them and how they came to be. And, it really made me appreciate film criticism. Growing up, I loved Siskel and Ebert. I really did. As a kid, I would get Roger Ebert's book of movies every year, and then I would read it and cross off which ones I hadn't seen, circle the ones I wanted to see, and I just loved them so much. But there was this passage in the book where Roger Ebert and Gene Siskel were both talking about the passage of time. Is that with movies, they took it so seriously that when they saw a real stinker of a movie, they got upset. They got really upset because they were like, how dare you waste 2 hours of our lives? Like, life is so precious. How dare you waste 2 hours of our lives with drivel? And I'm not saying this is that bad. I'm not saying this about Housewives, but sometimes, are you ever like that where you'll watch a season or a couple of episodes, or maybe even Potomac this season, where you're like, oh my God, how long is this going to go on? There's only so many hours in a day and only so many hours in our lives. Do you ever so that, you really appreciate it when something like Salt Lake comes together because you're like, this is what I'm talking about. Hell yeah. But then there's so many episodes that kind of go by the wayside, and you got to do a lot to fill like a 20 episode season after season. And Beverly Hills is on its 13th season. But like I'm saying, it's not like stinker bad. It's just there. And I don't want to take away from the fact there's some really intense issues, like what Kyle is dealing with in terms of the loss of her friend, whatever is going on in her marriage, which I think this week even cements it further that they are definitely not together when they were filming this. And it seems like, if you read between the lines, she is trying to find a way to hint or let people know that they are not what they used to be. And then on the flip side, you have Dorit and PK, where he's like, I can't believe I'll have to go to therapy for your put star. I don't understand PTSD. I just want to eat pizza and crisps. And that's kind of completely ridiculous because you almost feel bad for Dorit because PK, it's like, my God, at least act like you care at a certain point. Like, has anybody ever like opened up about their trauma and then somebody been like, no, I don't believe it. I think it's selfish. And I'm like, that is ballsy. And especially really ballsy when a camera is directly on you. You know what it is? I was watching them in their Sprinter van on the way to Ojai. And they were, the purpose of this trip was to celebrate Anna Marie Wiley's birthday, which I was like, you guys don't even know her. And it's one of those kind of housewife things of we've got to do an event. And it just was weird because I thought I was looking around at all the ladies in the vehicle and I just said, it just seems like that thing where they get together and it's like the fact that they're housewives is what makes them all be in a relationship together. It's not that they're actually cemented as friends in real life. It's the fact that they're housewives. That's the relationship. Like, how do you guys know each other? Oh, we're Real Housewives on a TV show. And sometimes you want a little more skin in the game. Sometimes you really want to believe that they are all desperate for each other's approval, attention, that they get real anger and not just, oh, I can write you off at a second's notice. You want to believe that there are real stakes at play. And sometimes you get that. But also, then there are kind of moments that take off in this weird way. Like, Kyle has this beautiful event based around the death of her friend. But then at the same time, you've got her new special friend, Morgan Wade, who obviously is a very talented musician. I really do love Morgan Wade's singing voice. I'm Morgan Wade. I'm going to sing beautifully. Not talking about her speaking voice, her singing voice, beautiful. But then she does a song at this thing that's all like, I'm gonna lay you down on the floor and fuck you. It was like a very by the way, that's my idea of a sexy song. It was like a sexy song where I was like, yeah, seems sad, but then you listen to the lyrics and you're like, what the fuck? Does anybody check these lyrics? Like, nobody at the event was like, what the fuck is going on? I say, I can't believe what I'm hearing. They were all crying and stuff. I'm like, listen to the lyrics, folks. Like, what? This is like the Da Vinci Code. What are they trying to tell us here? So there's like a lot of kind of disjointed scenes. I'll take a little bit of this, take a little bit of that, and what do we come up with? And then that's why I said Anna Marie is such a flop because it's only kind of her third 2.5, 3 episodes, and she brings up Sutton's small esophagus again. Like, this lady has esophagus envy. Like, it's one of those things, it's like when I used to be in improvisation, which was very painful and obviously probably very painful for people to watch. And you would have somebody in a scene where they were just desperate to find the game of the scene because they were like, oh my God, we're up on stage. We got to figure out what to do. And they just hop on the first thing, even though the first thing isn't that good. And it feels like Anna Marie hopped on this first thing of esophagus. And she's like, okay, if today doesn't go well, I always have the esophagus in my back pocket. I can go back to the esophagus. And it's like, girl, no, get off the esophagus completely. It is ridiculous. Like I said on yesterday's show on the Salt Lake, it's like Lucy Apple Juice. Like Lucy Apple Juice seems like Citizen Kane compared to Anna Marie talking about an esophagus. And this girl doubles down. She was on a podcast. Was it the Twats podcast? Was it Freddie and Tamara where she's talking about still kind of defending the esophagus? I'm like, get off the esophagus entirely. The less you talk about it, the quicker we're going to forget about it. You don't want Andy at a reunion going, we're going to dedicate the 3rd episode to Sutton's esophagus. Anna Marie, take us through that. Like, I'm done with hearing about the body, just done. Anyways, let's get into this recap. Bill Bailey's here, by the way. He's up taking a nap right now, but I'm going to have him on. Maybe I'll have him say hi on today's pod. If not, definitely on Monday's podcast. And he's going to do the Patreon live, So Bad It's Good, or patreon.com/So Bad It's Good. He'll be on the Patreon live on Monday. So check that out if that's your thing, if you want to talk to old Bill Bailey. Also, as always, special shout out goes to Juliana Carosa, who took these brilliant notes, and she's just so amazing. I couldn't do this without her at all. What's this? It's just a grown man making a complete idiot of himself. So special shout out to Juliana. Thank you so much. Okay, so episode 11, and this is entitled A Celebration of Life, which is very fitting based on Kyle's friend. This is a summary that the cable company gives us. The women head to Ojai for Anna Marie's birthday, as frosting isn't the only thing Sutton is licking. Dorit questions her marriage after PK's shocking admission in therapy, and Kyle hosts a celebration of a life for her late friend. And then we start off, as we always do, with scenes from previous episodes. So it's previously on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. And we have Garcelle on FaceTime with Jade and his girlfriend Ashlyn. She's like, "What are you all doing in bed?" And Jade's like, "We're watching a movie." And Garcelle's like, "All right, have fun. Not too much fun. Not too much fun." And then we cut to Anna Marie at Sutton's boutique anniversary soiree, where Anna Marie's questioning Sutton, going, "You don't eat food? And then your reason for not eating food is because, like, I have a narrow esophagus?" And Sutton's like, "Well, why am I having a doctor's appointment right now? I say. And then we cut to Kyle in that beautiful scene with her therapist / life coach a couple of episodes ago, where she says, "My very, very best friend, my whole life, she took her life on May 1st. And the therapist says, "That's a huge loss." And Kyle's like, "She was so together. I mean, she was literally in my will. She was in charge of my children, my money, everything. I don't know what happened." It's so frustrating. And think about that for a second, because we've talked about that thought of just, especially this year of all years for Kyle, she really probably needs her friend now more than ever. And in fact, we find out more information about what her friend thought about her marriage, or something about the marriage, which I found very intriguing. Then we cut to a scene with Dorit going, "You know, I wanted to talk to you about homeschooling, PK, and I know how you feel about it." And PK's like, "I don't want these kids not to experience going to school. It's where they're going to make their friends. Hey." And Dorit in a talking head's like, "When PK travels, I feel like a single mom. Ooh, beep, boop, bop, beep, boop, boop, boop. He doesn't know their needs, and then he just wants to swoop in and tell me what's best for the kids. How dare you, PK?" And then Garcelle, we cut to that scene from last week at lunch with Dorit, which was a very uncomfortable, filled with silence scene, where Garcelle goes, "What happened the other day really triggered me, and it really bothered me." And Dorit's like, "I'm very sorry that it triggered you, and it hurt you, and I mean that genuinely." And then Garcelle goes, "I believe that." Taglines. Let's go through these one more time with feeling. Garcelle's, "I'm an actor for a living, but I never fall for a bad performance." Sutton, "Hey, I say, who needs a knight in shining armor when you have your own horse? His name is Santos. He is a beautiful horse. Who needs a knight in shining?" But by the way, Sutton's dating now, and she's like going to go on a second date with this guy that loves karaoke. I prefer Santos over this guy, but I mean, maybe you can have both. And then Erica's tagline, "The best part about losing everything is getting it all back. Yeah, I'm like a giant." And then Dorit's tagline, "Fashion is my language, and I speak it fluently." Now, that's a weird one for Dorit, because Dorit this season more than ever has kind of been dressing down more, like she's not doing the fancy baubles, the big photo shoots like she was always doing. So when I heard this tagline initially, I thought, oh, is Dorit's storyline going to be like Beverly Beach comes back? Is there going to be another fashion line? Because usually the tagline will kind of give you a clue into what their season storyline is. Then Crystal's tagline is, "They say wisdom comes with age, but I'm proving otherwise." Then Anna Marie said her tagline is, "Say, do you have a small esophagus like Sutton? I'm Anna Marie." No, hers is, "I may put you asleep for a living, but I keep one eye open." Now, with Anna Marie's, I think they could put the period right after living. So I think it could be, "I may put you asleep for a living, period," and then just move on. And then Kyle's is, "It's hard to outrun rumors, but luckily I'm in better shape than ever." So that kind of ties in, because there's so many rumors about Kyle this season, about her marriage, about Morgan Wade, but also she is not drinking, she's eating right, and she's working out tons. So she's in better shape than ever. Now the music plays. It's a timely bop. It says, "Where all my queens be? Yeah, girl." And Kyle is at home sprawled out on a sofa. And Kyle's like, "Where is everybody? Damn it." And one of her dogs barks, and Kyle's like, "Somebody's here." And she starts tap dancing on her checkerboard floor. Then we cut on over to Crystal's. A car pulls up, delivering Crystal. As she walks to the front door, she hears a tap, tap, tapping. And Crystal's like, is she TikToking in there? And she enters the house and Crystal's like, hi. And Crystal's actually at Kyle's. And Kyle's like, I was bored. Look how cute you look. Imagine that. Imagine having time to be that bored where you're just tap dancing. Like I wish I had more time to just have spur of the moment tap dances. Crystal goes, you too. I brought some water for the bus. Thanks, Crystal. Kyle's like, you look so cute. Kyle on a talking head says, I thought it would be fun to go to Ojai for the day for Anna Marie's birthday because I feel like every time Anna Marie's been around, there's been chaos because I've pushed her into conflict with Sutton because I don't want to do it directly. We fit a flashback to 3 weeks earlier at Kyle's THC dinner, and Kyle's yelling, now everyone is saying, what's going on with you? I can't afford to feel depressed right now. And then over to Sutton's boutique's anniversary soiree, and Dorit's like, Crystal, why are you telling Sutton that I'm going around to everybody? And Crystal's like, I'm not telling that you're going around. I said you said it to me because, it was the Dorit going, Sutton likes to drink turpentine. She'll drink mouthwash if it has alcohol in it. Kyle continues in a talking head going, so I thought, why not take a nice day trip? Get to know each other better. Just enjoy a girl's day out without any arguing. For once, maybe. And then Crystal's like, are you wearing heels all day? And Kyle's like, no, I brought sneakers. And Crystal's like, oh, okay. And Kyle's like, well, when you're 5'2", you need all the help you can get. Meanwhile, in another car speeding through the streets of Los Angeles, Sutton's like, well, I say, for the love of God, we're never going to get there, Garcelle. This shopping trip is going to be like this. Done. And Garcelle's like, oh, no. Is there good shopping there? And Sutton's like, well, I've never been to Ojai. But I'll tell you what, I'm going to never do Taco Tuesday again. And Garcelle's like, I don't ever want to see a taco. And Sutton's like, or a Tuesday, I say. And Garcelle's like, well, I haven't seen anybody from there except I saw Dorit last night. And Sutton's like, well, oh. And Garcelle goes, and we hashed it out. And Garcelle on a talking head says, listen, we fight hard, but I think we also let it go and we try to have a good time. So I think today, going up to Ojai, I hope everybody's good. We're going to put it behind us and just enjoy ourselves. I like Garcelle's like, we fight hard, but we love harder. We love harder. And at this point, I don't even buy it. I'm like, Garcelle, you don't like Dorit. I don't think Dorit likes you that much. It doesn't seem like this relationship, like, are we going to go forward with it? Like, I'm very curious. Also, to kind of go off topic here, I keep thinking, obviously, about Reality Von Teese and why it's so offensive to the ladies when these ladies talk shit online about each other all the time. They like people's posts that slam their castmates. They do all of these things. So I'm trying to think, so is it the secrecy? Is it that's what it is that there was a hidden identity? Because I will guarantee that a lot of these ladies probably do some things behind closed doors. I mean, I'm still curious about the Diana Jenkins bot situation in regards to Garcelle and her sons. I am Diana Jenkins. I am no longer on this show. So Garcelle's like, we can put it away. We can enjoy ourselves. And then in the scene, Sutton's like, well, did Dorit acknowledge like understanding? And Garcelle goes, well, long story short, I'm moving past it. And Sutton's like, well, my good friend, Amber Sakai, we're going to go to her family's house. And Garcelle goes, estate? Well, yeah. And it has a wine and a lunch tasting. And Garcelle, oh, great. And then there's Kyle. She's not drinking. So what's she's going to taste? And Sutton's like, well, she going to taste water. I say, who gives a fuck what Kyle wants to taste? I don't care. I'm going to get my drink on. I say. And they finally arrive at Kyle's house. They go inside. So they're all meeting up there. Kyle is wearing this pink sweater and, Garcelle's like, hello. And Kyle's like, pink. Oh God, I love your sweater. And Garcelle goes, of course you do. Of course. I guess Garcelle's wearing the pink sweater too. And Anna Marie and Dorit, their car drops them off next and they go inside and greet everyone. I always love how the producers set this up because, they kind of stage it of like who goes together. And especially when they split off into groups in the shopping trip, I always want to know how the producers put that together because you have to think, they obviously don't want all of these ladies talking over each other in every scene. So they split them up. And also that's a chance for these ladies to talk shit on the other ladies that are not in their group. So you're trying to think of the best way to put these shows together to get these ladies talking, to get something to talk about. Anyways, Kyle's like, oh my God, we're matching. So Dorit and Anne Marie dressed in tan and black. And she's like, oh my God, you're matching. And Garcelle and I are matching. It's crazy. And Anne Marie's like, Kyle, thank you for doing this. I love you for doing this. And Son's like, well, now are we waiting for Erica? And Kyle's like, no, she got the vid. She got COVID. Well, oh God, gosh darn. And Kyle to Garcelle goes, you knew that, right? And Garcelle's like, yeah. And Sutton's like, well, I'm always the last to know. Oh, Sutton, nobody tells her when they got the vid, I say. And Kyle's like, well, let's call her and check in. Kyle calls Erica on FaceTime.
Hey, guys.
How are you feeling?
I'm okay. I turned positive 3 times yesterday. It started as a scratchy throat. I thought I had allergies. And then it went down from there.
And Kyle's like, well, feel better. I'm going to get these ladies on the road. And then all in unison, they're like, feel better, feel better. We'll shop for you. We'll shop for you. But you'll have to pay us back. Erica's like,
call me later. Bye. I'll get some dick. I'll get some sick dick. Yeah.
Kyle's like, so you guys, we're going to get the show on the road. They all head out and load up in the waiting Sprinter van. And Garcelle's like, woohoo, here we go. Okay, to our amazing trip. Thank you, Kyle, for putting this all together. She pops the cork on a bottle of bubbly, and they all hoot and clap, just having a gay old time. Anna Marie and a talking head's like, I think it is so sweet that they planned this trip for me. I think we're going to go and have silly girl fun and get to know each other a little bit better. And remember when my husband called me an 8.5 in every category, including looks? I'm still thinking about that. Anna Marie goes, Crystal or Sutton, do you guys want one right now in regards to the champagne? And Sutton's like, well, we're doing something else over here. We're doing something else. Anna Marie and a talking head's like, Sutton and I have had a rocky start, to put it mildly. But you know what? I'm going to have a good time. We'll just see how the day goes. And Sutton's like, well, okay. Would anyone like to hear my very exciting news? And Garcelle's like, of course. And then Sutton's like, well, I went on a date. And Kyle gasps. And Sutton's like, well, his name is Steve. And he has a job. And Garcelle's like, perfect. And Anne Marie's like, yay. And Dorit's like, we like that. And Dorit's like, PK doesn't have a job. Woo-hoo. And then Sutton's like, well, and he likes karaoke. And just girl boners flutter. Everybody's like, oh my God, karaoke, that's so hot. But they're all like, perfect. And Sutton's like, well, guess what? And Dorit's like, what? And then Sutton's like, well, he asked me out for a second date. And there's a flashback to their date night 2 days earlier. And Steve's like, I'd like to talk to you more after this somehow. And Sutton, you can see in the scene, her mouth just drops to the floor like, oh my God, I've never had this happen. Somebody wanting me to talk to me on a second occasion. And Sutton's like, well, oh, okay, yeah, for sure. And Steve's like, well, yeah, so can I have your number? And she's like, yeah. And the ladies all collectively cheers Sutton, and Sutton raises her arms like, oh my God, success. I can't wait to tell Santos. Sutton and the talking head's like, well, I'm really excited for my second date with Steve. He was really cute, I say, and he's been texting me. You know, I think he likes me. Kyle goes, you can sing to him. When are we going out again? And Sutton sings back, I love this date. Morgan Wade should make that a song. I love this date. Kyle's like, okay, so do you want to hear what we're going to do? And they're all like, yeah. And Garcelle goes, shopping? And Kyle's like, we're going to split up in 2 groups. When we get there, we can decide who goes where, whatever. And we're going to have a wine tasting. We're also going to have tequila and vodka there too. We're also going to have lunch. And then Sutton gives a loud, she burps. Oh, goodness. Oh, my God. Ooh. And Sutton holds up her giant hydrate jug. Oh, this is what they call this my hydrate jug. This old Sutton's hydrating jug. Yeah. I got a big old Sutton hydrating jug. And then Sutton's like, I brought a little vodka today. And they all laugh. And Dorit pretends to laugh like, oh, Sutton, you alcoholic. They arrived to the quaint town of Ojai. I've been to Ojai a bunch. It really is a beautiful place. They're dropped right in the heart of the shopping district. It's not huge, so Dorit, Sutton, and Crystal, they were in one group. They had into the Carolina Grams extra virgin olive oil products. My eyes glaze over at this kind of shopping. They had like a record store or like a bookstore or a comic book store. That's exciting. But when I'm like, olive oil, what the like, I like the olive oil that they sell at Trader Joe's. That's cool, but I never get excited about olive. My mom got excited about olive oil, and Dorit's like, I do love olive oil. Dorit enters the store and shows off she's speaking Italian with the proprietor. She's like, oh, whoa, amore, I'm Andrea from Summer House. Oh, lei, vero. She's like just really showing off her Italian. And Crystal whispers to Sutton, she's like, this poor woman's going to be here for 7 hours. Remember, Dorit is a child of the world. Dorit can speak more languages than C-3PO, and that's part of the reason why I do her voice as C-3PO, because I'm like, Master Luke, I can speak 30 billion languages. Beep, boop, bop, beep, boop, boop, boop. And I love a good Dorit really talking another person's language because she really does come alive. It's a really cool thing. And I do also love that she overtalks in every language. Kyle, Garcelle, and Anna Marie, they're in another group. They're walking along the shops, and Kyle's like, oh my God, look at these. I want to get something here. I just want to see. And Garcelle's like, no, Kyle, no. It's probably a jewelry store. Instead, they enter a woman's and men's shop of clothing. This Kyle, she fucking loves to spend some money. She loves shopping, and she lets us know this. Kyle's like, I can work with this. And Garcelle sighs, and Kyle is overly enthusiastic about the shopping. And, it is one of those things. Do you always think that, like, okay, she gave up all of these other vices, but she's like tripled down on the shopping potentially? And Anna Marie's like, who is the biggest shopper in the group? And Garcelle's like, Kyle Richards, hello. And Anna Marie's like, okay, I don't know why I asked that question. Silly question. And Kyle's trying on a hat. And I was like, oh my God, Kimosabi's going to be jealous. What are you doing, Kyle? You're cheating on Kimosabi, your favorite Aspen hat store. And Kyle's like, this is true. Guilty as charged. Kyle and I talking heads like, I don't know how frequently I shop. How often do I buy something? For sure, every day. Oh my gosh. And Kyle's like wearing the hat now. It would be dope if she like shoplifted. Kyle's like, I can find something anywhere. And Garcelle's like, yes, she can. That's not that big of a, like, that's not even, I think she's like humble bragging, but it's like, yeah, man, like, I could probably buy something anywhere I wanted to, if I had, like, okay, like shopping's pretty easy to do if you have money, or even sometimes if you don't, if you have credit cards. It's just one of those things. And Kyle and I talking head, she has a big happy smile on it. She's like, big things. I like to shop big things. I like little things. I like medium-sized things. And we cut to her back in the store. She's getting like this extra small top. It's like, oh my God, Morgan's going to like this. Kyle and I talking heads like, I can shop on my phone and on my bed. I can do online shopping. And this is all cut over. The voiceover is all over her shopping in the stores. She's like, I can shop at a gas station, airport stores. Love it. Mobile Mart? Yeah, there's stuff in there I actually like. The lady's here again at the Phillips 76. She's bought us out of Juicy Fruit gum. She just keeps buying Juicy Fruit gum. It's crazy. Anyways, Kyle racks up a pile of stuff and checks out for $495.50. That's pretty cheap for a Kyle shopping trip. And Kyle's like, can someone like deliver our stuff to the Sprinter while I walk around? Come on. Kyle continues in a talking head, still very smiley. I just like it so much. It's hard. Allison Dubois pops out of nowhere of like, the clothing will never emotionally fulfill you, Kyle. It just won't. Kyle's like, I'm just going to get some fresh air. And Garcelle's like, oh, Kyle Richards. Now, Kyle, with a parade of clerks carrying her shopping bags, it's like Pretty Woman, like, big mistake, big, huge. Kyle to the driver's like, can you find a spot for all our shopping bags? If we have to leave one of the women, it's fine. Just kidding. But if you do, Sutton. Now we have a bouncy, happy song of like, I see your love. I can feel it in the air. Get ready for this. You know that's how we do it. Singing love. I can feel it in the air. Get ready for a good time. Let's do this. The Sprinter van speeds along to the country to the Casa Loque farm and winery. And the car, out of nowhere, just hits a hobo. Yeah, swear to God, it hits a hobo. And then they're all like, oh my God, do we tell the cops? And then the Sprinter van just takes off, you guys. And it's what? I'm always Do you ever think about that? Like they're in the middle of like kind of a boring episode of Housewives and then something like just insane happens. Like I always used to think about that Real Housewives in New York. Like, wouldn't you love to see the old Roni cast like aliens invade New York? And Ramona's like, what are these tall beings? They're so gross. They're so tall and they're so slimy. I don't know what they're doing here. This is the Upper East Side. Like I want that. I want like Cloverfield monster mixed with Roni. Anyways, Kyle's like, we're not at Disneyland, thank God, but we are here. Yay. And all the ladies are like, thank you, Kyle. It's a lot of like in unison so far this episode of like, yay. Lauren, the sommelier, is like, welcome to the Case Loque. And everybody's like, okay. And Kyle's like, do you have non-alcoholic ones? And Lauren's like, yep, we do. And Garcella's like, you guys, this is so pretty. It is just like, there is so much, right? And the ladies are gathered around a very abundant display of fresh fruits, veggies, nutties, nuts, and cheesies, and cookies, and they're just loading up their plates. And Blaine, another sommelier, is like, so we'll get your wine tasting started for today. Right now, you are sipping our 2021 Malvasia Bianca. It is very light. It reminds me of Hawaii in a bottle. It just tastes like macadamia nuts at an airport. And Garcelle's like, thank you so much. Okay, so then Chris is like, cheers, guys. Happy birthday again. And Amory's like, thank you guys so much. I love that Crystal gets like, everybody has to put their dick riding pants on at the Magic Mike show. And Anna Marie's like, hey, here's your party with Hawaii in a bottle. Kyle's like, when I'm here at places like this, I think this is how I want to live. Just like this. Quiet. Away from everybody. Ha! And Kyle does that weird like, ha! And Anna Marie's like, I would like it a little bit. Then I'd get bored. And Garceau's, yeah, me too. Kyle and our talking heads like, I will always have a love for Los Angeles, but I just don't feel as connected to it as I used to. Now, Blaine brings a bottle of red wine and pours. He's like, I love this one, again, with Italian food and especially pizza. I love it. It's delicious. And Son's like, well, I love a pizza. I got my big old jug, my big old Sutton jug, and I get some pizza. I love it. If we could get a karaoke machine, I'd be in heaven. Kyle continues in a talking head. And the things that make me happier, being outside, running by the river, trying on big Mumford & Son hats at Kimosabi, hiking with my dog. And they show us pictures of all of these things. Kyle in a gondola in Aspen in 2023 wearing her ski garb. Kyle on a kayak in a river surrounded by mountains wearing her cowboy hat and shorts. Everything's a hat pick. Kyle in a talking head goes, so one day when Portia's done with school, I'm going to choose someplace to live that is more conducive to what brings me happiness. Blaine, the sommelier, is like, so we have lunch ready for you guys. This chef's going to be out shortly. I'll lead you out this way. Okay, great. And this song plays, feeling good, feeling fine. We pop bottles every day and night. And the ladies move to this large grassy area near a pool to a table under umbrellas, for shade. And the table has nameplate settings and a planned menu, which includes the Primo, which is local red wine marinated chicken with mushroom and Gruyere cream spinach. The Cantaro, winter greens with balsamic syrup. The Secondo, the goat cheese risotto with asparagus beurre blanc. And the Dolce, Italian chocolate tiramisu with coconut raspberry maple cream. Now, Chef William comes out with a sous chef holding a platter, and he's like, we're going to start out with an Ojai Vineyard red wine marinated mushroom with a cave-aged Gruyere, spinach stuffing. And Anna Marie's like, that's beautiful. Oh my God, that's so yummy. And they're all excited. Now Kyle's like, okay, guys, so we're going to play a game. This is Girls' Night Out Table Topics. And I will say there is something disappointing being 13 seasons into a show and still having to do the card game of like, we can't have conversations on our own, so we're going to pull out a game. Anybody like Monopoly? Like, it's like that kind of conversation starter, and I just feel like we should be beyond this point. I'm sorry if I'm a negative Nelly right now, but it's just, And also, I want to go back to Kyle's comment about potentially moving out of Los Angeles into being like a Unabomber in the woods or something. And I just that sounds great. And I understand what Kyle's saying, but at the same time, I'm sorry, but they don't have a Louis Vuitton in the middle of the woods. They barely have a Wi-Fi signal. I just don't know if Kyle is truly ready for that. I think it's one of those nice things that you see on a postcard and you're like, what if I did Into the Wild? I don't know. Anyways, Kyle holds up a card and Anna Marie reads it and it says, lick someone's toe. And Garcelle's like, hell no. And Kyle's like, Crystal? Kyle takes off her shoe and sticks her foot in Crystal's face. who is next to her, and Crystal turns her head away, and Sutton's like, well, I'll do it. I had a big sip of my jug. I'm going to put your toe in my mouth, I say. And Anna Marie's like, I've been watching you and Kyle. And Sutton gets up and walks around to where Kyle's sitting. And Crystal's like, what are you doing? It's like, no, no. Sutton quickly touches her tongue on Kyle's foot. All the ladies scream and laugh and make faces. And then there's like some erotic sax music, like, do, 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 do. No, it's just everybody's like giggle Gertie. And Sutton and the Talking Head's like, well, this is the Kyle that I love. I feel like, oh gosh, we're finally getting there again. Because she's so funny. She's like Carrot Top. So fun. We're so goofy together. I say. I love this. Like, this is the Kyle I love. Let me suck on her toes. Maybe put a phalange or two in my mouth. And Kyle's like, okay, you guys, Sutton's a freak. She's like a freak in the morning, a freak in the evening, a freak at supper time. And Dorit's like, it wasn't even a clean toe. Kyle's dirty. She gave you Kyle's dirty toe. Who knows where that toe's been? Is Maurice? Are you still putting toes in Mauricio's bottom? Sutton finishes in a talking head. She's like, I regret nothing. Hey, by the way, wouldn't it be great if Sutton wasn't able to... Sutton, oh my God, I put Kyle's toe in my mouth and my small esophagus almost cut it off. Oh, shit. Kyle reads another card and goes, it says, give your best face. Give your best orgasm. And Reed's like, we all go around doing O's. And Go says like, do it if you just saw the Birkin of your life. And Dorit gives this sexual moan. She's like, woo, and then Garcelle in a talking head exhales sharply. Oh my God, we're having a pleasant time. Everybody's having a good time. It's fun. Can we keep it like this? Dorit to Crystal goes, let me see. And Crystal now does her O face, and she makes a face like makes a face like she's pooping. She's like, that's her getting a purse face. And Dorit's like, oh, Crystal. And Garcelle's like, that scares me. That does scare me as well. And Crystal's like, in a great way. And Sutton looking down is like, no. Sutton reads the next card and it's like, well, okay, this is my card. What is appropriate for husbands when communicating with other women on the social media apps? I say. And Dorit's like, you're not supposed to be communicating with other women on social media. And Anna Marie's like, I agree. And Kyle's like, I've had a fight with Mo over that. I hate that stuff. And Crystal looks up sharply at Sutton. And Kyle's like, liking people's photos, following people, you don't do that. And Garcelle's like, yeah. Kyle in a talking head goes, Mo gets a lot of DMs from women. They don't care that he's married. And they're always the aggressor. And it just makes you realize there's really a lot of fucking assholes out there. Now, this is really kind of clued in on something, right? Like, it's very interesting, like saying that Mo gets a lot of this, but also saying that Mo follows them back and likes their photos as well. So it seems like this is an issue, but also what's interesting about this is the opinion of they don't care that he's married and they're always the aggressor. So she's putting the onus on the women and not Mo. And I think that's an interesting little tidbit right there. And Sutton's like, well, but what does communicating mean? And Garcelle's like, DMing. And Kyle's like, well, it's not just DMing. That's like, no. But also, you don't have to follow every single person and like all their photos. Yeah, I don't like that at all. At all. I wonder if Kyle's liked every one of Morgan Wade's photos. Like, also, didn't Kyle say that she slid into Morgan Wade's DMs first? That's how they met. So, it's interesting. Staff arrives with this beautifully frosted birthday cake, and Lauren's like, I hear there's a birthday in the house, and Anna Marie's like, oh, you guys. And Sin's like, oh my God, look yummy. And Anna Marie's like, oh my God, you guys, the cutest. And she blows out her birthday candles, and Anna Marie's like, this is so cute, you guys. And Kyle's like, and Kyle out of nowhere after they're cutting the cake, she's like, would you ever date a woman? And Crystal looks around the table. And Dorit takes a swig of her wine. She's like, spit take. And Dorit in a tongue head's like, where in the hell did this come from? And Sutton in a talking head's like, well, that's a weird question to ask randomly. And then she takes this micropod and she's like, my cousin's a lesbian. Well, my cousin's a lesbian. On my mom's side, third cousin removed. I say she wears a lot of sweater vests, listen to Indigo Girls, Galileo head was on the block, that kind of stuff. I say is a little Tori Amos, just really found herself. I love her, one of my favorite cousins, but yeah, she is a lesbian. She's lesbianic, I say. But anyway, I love that these Dorit especially is like, what? Ooh, what are you talking about? This is disgusting. Well, Sutton laughs and puts her hand. She's like, "Oh no, I would never date a woman." And Kyle's like, "You wouldn't date a woman?" And Sutton's like, "No, I'm on a board of the American Ballet Company, Kyle. I own 2 minor league baseball teams. You think I can be out there all scissor kicking with some other lady? Are you out of your damn mind? I can't even get rubbed on at a Magic Mike show." I say, "Please, Kyle." And then Kyle's like, "Would you?" to Garcelle, and Garcelle goes, sorry, I said Garcelle goes, there are times I think about it, if I'm going to be honest. And Crystal asks Kyle, "Would you?" Which is what Kyle once asked. And Kyle goes, yep, maybe, yeah. I wish Kyle had busted out a cigarette at this point and be like, I'm a bad girl. Yeah, I don't know. Whatever. Love's love. You know what I'm saying? A touch is a touch, right? You know what I'm saying? Yeah, okay. Anyway, so Kyle says this, and Garcelle in a talking head goes, "Kyle, a few years ago, was shocked that we would have threesomes or talk about making out with women." And we get a flashback to 2020 at Denise's party. Denise, the party that she freaked out about with her daughters. And Garcelle's like, "I had a threesome a long time ago. With, sorry. I was just trying to think of the most random pairing of with one of the Wayans brothers and Secretary of Defense Colin Powell." No, she's like, "I had a threesome a long time ago." And Kyle's like, "I've never done a girl thing. Never done a girl thing." That was in 2020. And Garcelle continues in the talking head, "And now she's open to a relationship with a woman. I don't know much, but I think there's a country song somewhere in there," which is like a jab at Morgan Wade of yeah, I'm gonna have a relationship with a woman. And Kyle goes, "When I was in college with my friends, a question came up about scissoring." And Anna Marie's like, "What's that?" And Crystal laughs and puts her fingers together in a connecting scissor motion. And Garcelle's like 69? And Kyle's like, "Dorit, should we show him?" And Dorit's like, "Yes, of course." I secretly think Dorit is in love with Kyle. So Dorit "Oh my God, yeah, of course. I would love to scissor with you. Are you kidding me? Oh, I thought you would never ask. Please, I will scissor with you anytime, anywhere. Please, yes. Oh my God, please." And Kyle's like, "Okay, Kyle gets up and she's like, "It's like this." And Garcelle's like, "Oh, wow." And Dorit lays down on the ground on her side and lifts her top leg up straight in the air. And Kyle gets on the ground and Juliana wrote these notes. She goes, tucks her V into Dorit's V. "Well, son, let me tell you about love. It's when one lady tucks her V into another V. And then they use the natural friction that God created." Sorry, I'm 13 years old. Anyways, Crystal's like, "Someone take a picture and then put it on Reality Von Tease as blackmail." And Garcelle's like, "Well, I'm not impressed." And Son's like, "Well, that was just having sex. I'm sorry." I love that Son's like, "Well, wait, scissoring? Oh my God, this whole time I thought that was sex. What I've been doing is scissoring? Oh, geez. Kyle's like, "Where are the cards to this wonderful game that I love so much?" And Reed's like, Kyle's like, "Last card. Make sure you stick your tongue in the person to the left's mouth." And Kyle cracks up because I think there's a little bit of relief here that Kyle kind of ripped the Band-Aid off and kind of just brought up the notion of potentially sapphic love. And Son's like, "Well, I'll do it. What we do? I'll put my tongue in somebody's mouth. I don't care. Santos ain't here. I'm not embarrassing nothing. This is a girl's night out." Kyle pointing to Dorit's like, "She's on your left. Okay, put your tongue in her mouth." And Son's like, "Okay, you don't got to tell me twice." And Sutton gets up and Garcelle's like, "Seriously?" And Anna Marie's laughing. Dorit's like, No. And Crystal's taking a video. Sutton stands over Dorit and Kyle holds Sutton's hair back. Sutton sticks her tongue out fully and goes down to Dorit while Dorit tries to back away. Sutton touches Dorit's lip and Dorit's shoulders. Oh no, Sutton touches Dorit's lip and Dorit shudders. Woohoo! And Dorit screams, ah, she touched me. She touched me. Beep, boop, bop, boop, boop, boop. Jackaloo! And Kyle's cracking up and Ray's cracking up. Dorit dabs her tongue with her napkin. And she's like, that's so gross. Suddenly the tongue head's like, the saying goes. You work hard, you play hard. I say, we fight hard and then we play hard. And we always somehow get to a point where we have so much fun and we remember how much we really like each other. How close we are. And this is what I love about this group, I say. And suddenly the scene goes, well, I thought I was going to drool on you, Dorit. And Kyle's like, anyways, so you guys, Tuesday's my celebration of life event, honoring my best friend, Lorene, who passed away, but I want it to be like happy and nice. And, my friend, Morgan Wade's going to be playing. And Garcelle's like, well, thank you for the invite. And Anna Marie's like, thank you for having us. Kyle and the Talking Heads like, having this event for Lorene and being able to share stories about her, it just feels like the right way to honor her. And Garcelle goes, well, obviously, Kyle, sorry for your loss. And Kyle's like, happy birthday to you. And Anna Marie's like, thank you, guys. I want to say, too, thank you to all of you. You guys have been so warm and so welcoming. 41, woohoo. And Son's like, well, just a few steps closer to 50. And Anna Marie's like, yay. And that scene fades out. That's the big opening montage, if it were, Okay, so next scene, we're over at Garcelle's house, and her two boys, the two boys that are like 15 and 16, that think they're like grown-up men, they come in, they're all ungrateful, trying to get a bowl of cereal, even though Garcelle's making some lasagna, and they're all just dancing around her, and she's like, hey, I feel like my window with the boys is so small right now that they're in the 10th grade, they're going to be looking in colleges, they're about to fly the coop, and it's going to be an adjustment. Like, I don't know how I'm going to handle it. Really. And get it. I mean, my mom went through this. I'm sure so many mothers go through this. It just sucks. And then watching how us dudes, us little shits, treat our moms at that age is wild. Because they'll regret this. They'll watch this back and go, oh my God, I can't believe this. I can't believe how good we had it. Why didn't we just sit there and hang out with our moms more? So in the scene, Garcelle's like, okay, so Jade comes in my room last night and he goes, can I have Ashlyn sleep over? Ashlyn is this guy's little girlfriend. And Jax is like, oh yeah, she's hating, bro. She is hating crazy. And Jade's like, she's hating, bro. And Garcelle's like, of course I'm going to hate. And Jax is like, what's going to happen? And Jade's like, I'm not going to lie, Mom. And Jax is like, you think you're going to have another grandkid? And Garcelle laughs and goes, don't even start this. And Jade is like, this sounds like hater mentality. And I'm like, Jade and Jax, this sounds like you're grounded. How dare you call Garcelle a hater? So Garcelle and the Talking Head's like, hello, sex. I don't want them having sex. It's too soon. It's too early. It's too young. And they don't know what they're doing. They don't know how to scissor like our good friend Kyle and Dorit. So Garcelle's like, what are you going to do when she sleeps over? And Jade's like, we're going to watch a movie. We're going to make food. And Jax is like, have sex. And Jade laughs and goes, oh, okay. And Garcelle goes over and hugs Jax. And Jax is like, hey, talk to him. I'm not the one doing it. And Jade looks at Jax like, brah. And Garcelle's like, okay. Since you brought it up, let's talk about sex. And both Jade and Jax fall over in their chairs and they're like, oh my God, Mom. Garcelle and the Talking Head says, even though they're like 6'2", 6'3" in height, I mean, they're massive. They're still little boys, And sometimes I forget that. So seeing them giggle and squirm and not want to talk about sex is really age appropriate. So Garcelle's like, can we talk about sex? Can we talk about sex, baby? Can we talk about you and me? Do you remember Salt and Pepper? Oh my God. You kids. Oh man, Salt and Pepper were the best. Anyways, go check out Salt and Pepper's greatest hits. Garcelle's is like, what do you know about sex? And Jackson's like, I'm not going to sit here and tell my mother what I know about sex. And Jade is howling, laughing, busting up. And Jackson's like, you really think you're about to have this conversation? Because you got me. And Garcelle's like, I want you to be responsible. No means no. Consent means everybody has to agree. I don't want to be a grandmother anytime soon. And Jade makes a loud burp. He's like, "Bleh." And Garcelle makes a swipe at Jade. Both boys howl and roar. And that's a good rule of thumb. If you're talking about sex with your mom and you belch when she says she doesn't want you to get anybody pregnant, yeah, that means you're not ready to be a father. And Garcelle's like, all right, I'm done. I'm so over it. You guys just got here and I have you for a whole week. I'm good. I'm so good. That was a really nice scene. So it's evening and we are to a not nice scene. We're over at Dorit's and PK. And Dorit's like, honey. And PK's like, what's going on, honey? And Dorit's like, we've got Sarah coming any minute. And PK's like, have you heard from her? Is she gonna be here? And Dorit's like, yes, she's gonna be here any minute, Bobs. Beep boop bop beep boop boop boop. And PK's like, okay. And Dorit's like, honey, we're going to have to sit outside even with the bugs because I just put the kids, little Jagaloo and Phoenix, to sleep. And I just don't want to take any chances with them coming down, you know? And PK's like, okay. And Dorit's like, are you feeling open and focused? He's like, yeah. And Dorit's like, because I'm really happy that you are agreeable. Now, this is their therapist, you guys. And the doorbell rings, and PK's like, oh, it's And Dorit's like, okay, go get it, Bubba. So Dr. Sarah, quietly gives another knock on the door. Dorit rounds the corner towards the front door to get Dr. Sarah and sees PK standing at the counter eating some pizza. And she stops. She's like, are you freaking kidding me, PK? And he's like, shush, baby, I gotta eat. I gotta eat some pizza and some crisps. And shush, baby, I gotta eat. And Dorit's like, you said that's her, and you stopped off to have a piece of pizza? Oh my God, PK, you are one of a kind. So Dorit's therapist still waiting at the door. And probably hearing all of this, Dorit opens the door and says, I just want you to know that this man left you waiting at the door so he can have more pizza pie. Beep boop bop beep boop boop boop. And Dr. Sarah hugs Dorit and then hugs PK. Now listen, wait, are therapists supposed to hug you? My therapist never hug me. And also it's online therapy, but they don't even make an effort even online to be like, just like a kind of a hand motion. Like there's none of that shit. What kind of therapist is this? So Dr. Sarah's like, well, how are you? And Dorit's like, hi, sweetie pie. Also, I don't call my therapist sweetie pie. They're like, hi, how are, like, there's no like, what's up, toots? Dorit and the talking head's like, my biggest issue is after the home invasion, I really needed PK around, and he was traveling all the time. He wasn't here for me, not physically and not emotionally, really. And we get a flashback to 2022 where Dorit and PK are in a scene, and Dorit's like, I'm off to Aspen. You're off to London. And he's like, yeah, but don't call me in the middle of the night in London. And Dorit's like, I can't promise that, Bubba. And PK's like, saying, come and get me, PK. And Dorit's like, I can't promise that. Everything's terrible. Come and get me. I cannot promise that, PK. Well, you did that in Mexico. And Dorit's like, I know, and you didn't come get me. Flashback to 2 months earlier while having Kyle over for salad and pizza. Remember that at the beginning of the season? A lot of pizza in this family. Dorit's like, I wasn't myself because of the PTSD. And my husband was spending a lot of time in London. I started to feel like PK, and I weren't connected. And then Dorit and the talking head's like, the passes, the patience, those are now used up. It's time for him to show up. Beep, boop, 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 boop. And then they settle themselves outside in the back patio. That's the other thing. Therapists in a fucking back patio? It needs to be in a tight, enclosed space where you're uncomfortable. Dorit's like, the reason why I really wanted to have this session with the three of us is because I feel like you don't quite understand, PK, the severity of the put stuff for me, and largely in part the surprise element. Flashback to 6 weeks earlier to Dorit's surprise Pretty Woman anniversary date when she was overcome with panic. Remember that? Dorit was like, who's taking care of the kids, Kyle? Does anybody know anything? And Kyle's like, well, we'll get to that point. I know, but I need to know because I get anxiety. And Dorit says, I tried to tell you, and you just had a reaction that was very defensive, PK. Flashback to that surprise anniversary date as they ate dinner that night. And Dorit in that scene is like, you think this just happens? There's a lot of effort that goes into dressing a certain way, looking a certain way. And PK's like, to be honest with you, I think maybe I'm not going to bother with surprises anymore. Now, in this scene, PK's like, does Putster require you to discuss it there and then? Is that PTSD? And Dorit's like, that's a really shitty thing that you're saying. No, I'm interested. I'm asking, is it? And Dr. Sarah's like, I don't think it's shitty. He's really, he's saying her timing was off. And Dorit's like, that's exactly what he's saying. And Dr. Sarah's like, hear me out, though. Her timing was off. Couldn't she table that? And PK's like, there isn't a freaking husband in the world that would have taken kindly to what she said when she said it. After what I just done, do you understand? I felt a little bit of a fuck you. And Dr. Sarah's like, PTSD is born in anxiety, right? It's nothing to do. Good surprise, bad surprise, horrible pretty woman surprise, where you have the band Berlin sing a song from the Top Gun movie soundtrack, even though you're doing a pretty woman surprise. It has nothing to do with that. It's just something that catches you off guard. And so your instinct is to walk around ready for something horrible to happen all the time. Does that feel? And Dorit's like, perfection, Sarah. And Dr. Sarah's like, okay, did that make sense? And PK's like, there are elements I understand. There are also elements I don't consider are putster, PTSD. I don't. I consider them more obnoxious. Flashback to the surprise anniversary day where Dorit's like, honey, I want to know why you couldn't get the presidential suite. And then Dorit going, Karina, do you have the Beverly Beach bronzer? And then Karina's Dorit's makeup artist is like, no, I don't have it with me. And Dorit's like, that I need. It would look a lot better if I'm bronzed. And PK in this scene is like, the reality is Windows high maintenance blend with putster. And Dorit in the talking head's like, one of the things I fell in love with PK when I first met him was his wallet. No, he could let go of things so easily. That's what I loved. And I feel like in the last few years, he's definitely gotten more harsh with me. A little mean sometimes, like go low. And I don't like that aspect. PK in the talking head, which by the way, PK in this scene compared to his talking head looks very different. I don't know if this man got face work. I mean, he looks great in his talking head. It just looks very, very different. But good job, whatever you did. PK is like, when I first met Dorit, she was this bubbly, enthusiastic, beautiful girl. And she was not quite as high maintenance as she is now. And I ruined her. All right. No, he's like, high maintenance as she is now. And Dorit's like, PK, you are. It's like you're reaching. I'm not reaching. No, genuinely, I'm trying to understand. We're talking about specifically certain triggers. It's like I'm a totally new person and I can do anything about it. Do you have any idea how difficult that is and what it's like to live with that? PK will not look at Dorit. You can tell he's thinking about the pizza inside the house. And Dr. Sarah's like, what do you want him to do in the future? If I tell him, PK, I'm not good. I'm really not good right now. I need him to understand, like, she's having an episode of Putster. I need to go comfort my wife. Dorit in the talking head says, in a marriage, these are the times that truly test your relationship. Beep, boop, 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 boop. This particular bad time where I need PK, and it's not the other way around. He's coming up really short. Now, PK in the talking head's like, dealing with your pressures of having to manage your career and your job and travel and keep the missus happy is always a challenge. Something has to give. I try and balance it, but maybe I don't balance it as well as I should or could. And this isn't a one-sided thing. We need to keep each other happy. And we need sometimes to be wrong, which has always been a challenge for Dorit. That's a lot of, it's a lot of stuff coming out, and that's good. A lot of truth, I think, on both sides. But PK really not dancing around certain things that are not making him happy. And it was a little insensitive. I don't know. It's hard, right? I mean, it's not hard. It really is insensitive. But at the same time, he has his own feelings on the matter. But at the same time, it just feels like, he is not respecting. He's not respecting her. Or he's done listening, it feels like sometimes. And that's the scary part. So in this scene, he's like, I don't know why you think I wouldn't want to understand it. It's helpful to me as well as you. So of course I want to understand it. You got to give me a chance to understand it. And you got to also try and articulate it just a little calmer and a little less irritated by it. Do you understand? Because I'm not seeking to irritate you. I'm seeking to understand you. It makes me emotional because You know I'm okay with it. And Dorit's like, Bubba, baby, but why? I don't understand, baby. And PK's tearing up, and Dorit moves right next to PK. And PK's like, because it's very difficult when you love someone and listen to how much pain you're in. And Dorit's like, I want to hear. Is there something to with women when your man, your boyfriend, your husband, whatever, when they cry? Is that attractive in a sense? When, like Iron John men open up. Me, I cry all the time. So that's like, that's a given. But like for other dudes, is that attractive to women? Because it is like, Drew's like, ooh, tell me more. Dorit and the Talking Heads like, what I need for PK is not only to get a better grasp of what I'm going through, to want to be there for me. If we can do that together, him and I will succeed. If he can't, I don't know what the future holds. Which I want to remind you is that their, real problems where we started hearing about them came after the filming of this season. So it only got worse. So PK's like, before the pusta, you take a long time to say something. I'm always going to get a little bit frustrated with that. It's not all the time, my love, right? Just to let you know, it really isn't. I mean, you are super sweet when you're asleep. And then PK winks at Dr. Sarah like, hey, did you like the jab I gave her? I'm saying a woman needs to shut her mouth, right? She's only right when she's sleeping. Am I right, Dr. Sarah? And Dorit's like, fuck off, PK. And PK laughs. Oh. And Dorit's like, idiot. And then Dr. Sarah laughs and the scene ends. Uh-oh. And then we go to the beautiful celebration of Life Day. And Kyle is getting glammed up at her house. Kyle to her stylist are like, I sent Portia a voice text of what I wanted to say tonight, and she sent me a text back saying, Mom, I can barely understand any of this. I just want to honor her, my friend, to speak to who she is, and I'm just trying to pull this up against Scott. Don't be offended, Scott, who didn't bring her point tail up high enough. Not at all. Oh, sorry. Scott's her hairstylist and didn't bring her ponytail up high enough. At Sutton's house where she is getting glammed, and Sutton's like, well, this is a very special night, I say. Hopefully my lashes will stay on. And then it's Anna Marie's turn, and we see her with eyeliner, her eye with eyeliner around it. That's all they showed, and that pretty much is the most fascinating thing Anna Marie's been featured in this season. Garcelle talking to her glam team at her house, and it's like, for tonight, I think, it's a time for Kyle to celebrate her friend and raise some funds. It's just we got to do this for her. And then Kyle, get this, she is in the car with what's her name? Oh gosh, she was like, she's got a podcast with she got a successful podcast. It's Freddie. She's with Freddie Mellencamp. Kyle's in a car with Freddie, and she's being driven to the event location. And Kyle's like, hey, Siri, call Morgan Wade. And Siri's like, please, Kyle, it's getting obsessive. I do not want to call Morgan Wade. It's too much already. What's the deal with you guys? Is it just friendship or is it something more? Do you understand why me, Siri, would be confused? Because you spend so much time talking to her. And Kyle in a talking head goes, there are people I speak to every single day, no matter what. Freddie and Morgan are two of those people. Everything is discussed. So this isn't funny, but Kyle's two most important people in her life are Freddie Mellencamp and Morgan Wade. That's the top two. That's the two big teammates. So Morgan gets in the car with Kyle and Freddie, and Kyle's like, you look nice. And Freddie's like, you look pretty. And Kyle's like, don't tell her too much. She'll get a big ego. And then Morgan's like, oh, hell. And Kyle's looking at her. He goes, I like that color on your eyes. Kyle, so juvenile. Kyle continues in a talking head. Friends, husbands, siblings, works, complaints, celebrations, everything. I tell him everything. They show a photo of Kyle and Freddie and Morgan traveling together on a private jet. This is the funny thing, right? So I was thinking about this too, of like the Freddie and the Tamara, the Twats pod, right? Is, kind of they do a very similar thing as Reality Von Tease. It's just that they use their actual names. But they talk shit about so many housewives. And I mean, it's just funny. And also, I think it's interesting because Freddie definitely has the answers here. Freddie definitely knows 100% what's going on with Morgan and Kyle. And Freddie is a true good friend to Kyle because she has not revealed that. And she has feigned ignorance. But she knows. Period. She knows. There is so much willful disbelief with Kyle where she'll just blatantly lie to everybody. And I know she's doing it because it makes her life easier and because she thinks it's the right thing to do. I get it. I really do get that. But it is interesting. So we're back in the car. Morgan's like, where did you get that pinky ring, Kyle? And Kyle's like, I'll take you there. Can I see it? And Kyle's like, are you going to give it back to me? Yeah, I don't want yours. It's nasty. You should wash your hands. And then Morgan puts the ring on her pinky, and we just never see that ring again. Morgan's like, you have a gigantic pinky, Kyle. And Kyle's like, well, let me get it back. And Freddie's like, it probably wouldn't fit over my knuckles. I've got a big old fat knuckle. Freddie Fat Knuckles. Okay, 2 things about me. I have a successful podcast, and I got fat fucking knuckles. Yeah, fucking. Oh shit, your friend Freddie's got fat knuckles. Knuckle deep. So they arrive at Lavo and they enter the room where the this is serious. The room looks really sorry. Morgan goes up. Oh, sorry. Hey, stop it. Morgan goes up on a small stage to check out the setup where she'll play. And Clint, the guitarist, goes, try to give you one that they both do a little singing on. You want to take me away. And they practice, And Kyle's friend and personal assistant, Jen, is like, here's how it's going to go. People are going to come in. We're going to have past drinks. You're going to speak. Suddenly, Morgan sings and drowns out what Jen is saying. And Kyle puts her hand up for Jen to stop talking. She's like, oh my goodness, just 1 second. Oh, Freddie, big fat knuckles, you hearing this? Kyle sings along with Morgan. You take off those clothes you wear. And Kyle walks away to go to the stage to watch Morgan sing. It is like she is in a trance. I am sorry, man. Let's do this, man. Let's date. Let's fucking bring this out into the open. Also, I truly don't care. I do really want Kyle to be happy. But also, I don't know if it's subconscious, fully conscious, whatever, but it does look like they both really dig each other. It looks like Kyle is insanely smitten. I don't know. Anyways, Morgan sings, hand in my hair, and you said I look pretty. Rode in from the Windy City, yeah. And Kyle and I talking heads like, initially I was drawn to Morgan by her music, but now I like Morgan's lyrics really spoke to me because she's just so raw and open and honest, just putting it all out there. And then the lyric, you guys, is, you said I'm too young for you. You're scared I'm too right for you. And if anybody's a big math freak out there, I did the math and there's a huge age difference. Morgan Wade is way younger than Kyle. So listen, these lyrics could be about Kyle. But Kyle's just standing there smiling at Morgan, kind of like, man, no way. Yeah, we're just the right ages for each other. Kyle continues in a talking head and goes, and I admire that in someone, especially someone who has struggled with that myself. I appreciate that quality in someone. And Kyle in the scene goes, I've got to work on my speech. I'm very stressed. She sits on a sofa and Morgan joins her. And Kyle's like, I'm too nervous to read it to you now. And Morgan's like, well, let me read it. And Kyle's like, no, because there's too many typos. I can't let you see the typos. And Morgan's like, I wouldn't make fun of you, Kyle. And then Morgan stares and smiles at Kyle, and Kyle just melts. And she's like, what? I'm so anxious. I don't know if I can do it. I'm not kidding you. And Morgan's like, you got it, Kyle. And the guests begin to arrive. Kyle's daughter, Portia, Sophia, Alexia, Farah, her sister, Kim. We get another Kim appearance. Faye Resnick, Camille, Anna Marie, Garcelle. Kyle's posing for photos with everyone, pulls Morgan into a photo with Kim. Now they flash a quick shot of Freddie Fat Knuckles standing there, and then immediately go to Garcelle in a talking head, with Garcelle purposely swatting away imaginary bugs flying at her and goes, "Oh, sorry, it's a gnat." And she smiles. Garcelle hugs Faye. And it's like, "Hi." And then Freddie's like, "Hi." And Garcelle's like, "How are you?" And Freddie's like, "Good. The gnat is back." And Garcelle smiles. And Garcelle in a talking head goes, "Not only is she annoying, she refers to herself as the gnat." Flashback to 2020 with the producer asking Garcelle in a talking head. The producer's like, "What's the deal with Freddie?" And Garcelle's like, "I don't know. She's kind of annoying for no reason, like a little gnat." Garcelle in the present day talking head goes, "I mean, I rest my case, Your Honor." She shakes her head and chuckles. And then Kyle greets Anna Marie. "You look stunning." And Anna Marie's like, "I'm excited. How do you feel?" And Kyle's like, "Anxious. It's going to be a good night." And then Sutton arrives, Reed arrives, Kyle greets them. And then Kyle in the talking head goes, "My daughters are my best friends in the world. They always give me the best advice. They are there for me. They listen to me. I don't know what I would do without them. It feels good to be able to lean on them sometimes after raising them all these years. Guess what? Now I need you a little bit." And I do think this is cool. I do think Kyle's got such a strong family relationship. And I do think it's interesting that I do think her daughters are probably here, even though it is probably an insanely rough time for them loving both of their parents. Now, Kyle hugs Sugar, Lorraine, her best friend who passed away, her mother, and it's like, "Oh, you look beautiful." And it was like, Sugar's like, "Thank you so much. This is hard." And Kyle's like, "I know." And then Sugar's like, "Is Mauricio going to be here?" And Kyle's like, "He's out of town." And she's like, "Oh, yeah." And Kyle's like, "I'm so sorry. I love you so much." Kyle in a talking head says, "Mo can't be here because he had to go out of town for business. Had this been a few years ago, I would have really relied on him on a night like tonight." And that's another really telling thing, a very sad thing to hear. And it just shows us how life does change, and it's weird. I think about that a lot. I think about those times, even in relationships that don't end up working out, is that, you had good times in those relationships, right? You had those moments where you're like, "Oh, yeah, during that period of time, I really needed this person." And it's hard when you sometimes break out of those feelings in that relationship and how life changes. And I think I look at everything with a tinge of sadness anyways. But you can sometimes really kind of trip out on that and get really in your feelings about, you know, questioning why time does that. That people can only be here for sometimes a small amount in your life, and they can mean something so deep at the time. And then, 5-10 years later, it doesn't mean what it did mean at some time. And you're like, "Oh, I always thought I would feel those emotions." It's a mind fuck, right? Anyways, Garcelle's like, "Kyle, are you okay?" And Kyle hugs Garcelle. It's like, "That's Lorraine's mom. She's having a hard day, obviously." Garcelle in a talking head says, "Kyle coming alone to the event without Mo says a lot about where her relationship is, and maybe he's not trying to hide it after all." And Garcelle to Kyle in this scene goes, "All right, hang in there." And Kyle's like, "I hope I can get through my speech." Garcelle joins Crystal and Anna Marie in the sofa seating area, and Garcelle and Anna Marie exchange pleasantries. And Anna Marie's like, they're talking about the kids, and Anna Marie's like, "You guys, not to change the subject, but Sutton, you guys know her the best, right?" And Garcelle laughs like, "Ha ha ha." And Anna Marie's like, "You guys are the closest with her. Her small esophagus, am I right?" And Crystal rolls her eyes. Garcelle stares at Crystal, and Anna Marie's like, "I feel like I'm beating a dead horse, but it's driving me bananas. Bannana, or however you spell it." And Garcelle's like, "Okay, I have a question for you. Why do you care?" Garcelle in a talking head's like, "I don't think it's very Beverly Hills to be talking about someone's esophagus." And then Anna Marie in the scene goes, "I care because I'm in healthcare." Garcelle continues in a talking head, "You talk about their jewelry, you talk about their bags, you talk about their ex-husbands. not their esophagus. You can even talk about their plastic surgery. That's okay. In the scene, Anna Marie's like, I scoured all my medical books. I went to work. And Garcelle's like, she asks questions. And Crystal just looks bored and disgusted. And Anna Marie's like, I asked anesthesiologists, I asked ENTs. They said you can't say that to a layperson, but if you say that to someone in medicine, you look stupid. A small esophagus is not the reason. Did you have an eating disorder? Because a lot of acid reflux, and Crystal gets triggered and interrupts. And she's like, so obviously, and Anna Marie's like, let me explain. A lot of acid reflux or regurgitation can cause scar tissue in your throat. And Crystal's like, you're implying that she has an eating disorder. And Anna Marie's like, I'm not. For the record, these are Crystal's words, not mine. I never said that. And Crystal's like, you said eating disorder. No, I didn't. And the producers do a 20-second, troll. And Anna Marie's like, if you have an eating disorder. Crystal in the talking head's like, Anna Marie, you are the one that said it. You need to own up to it. You are the biggest gaslighter. And I don't need to look up in my medical encyclopedia what a gaslighter is. And Garcelle's like, this is a tricky conversation. And Anna Marie's like, all I said is that a narrow esophagus is not a medical diagnosis, period. That's all I said. And Garcelle's like, I'm going to get something else to drink. Do you want anything? And Crystal's like, yeah, a bottle of tequila. Thank you. Bye. And then we go to Kyle, and Kyle's like, I'm so not used to being that much taller than you. I guess I'll take my shoes off. Yeah, you like that better, right? Because she's with Morgan, and Morgan's like, and then Sutton and Dorit are talking. Sutton's like, well, you got both of your parents, right? And Dorit's like, I do. And Sutton's like, well, of course, my dad's been dead for 20 years. And this is where she's talking about her dad's suicide. And that's trigger warning, you guys, that this, next scene talks about this. But she's like, suicide is really tough. And Dorit's like, I know. And Sutton's like, and it can splinter a family. I think it really affected me as a daddy's girl, and we never addressed it as a family ever. Because remember, we've seen Sutton's mom in these scenes, and there is a coldness about Sutton's mom when talking about the dad, especially. Sutton in a talking head goes, my father was 62 years old when he committed suicide. I lived with that guilt for a long time. Then I tried to figure out why he did this. We put him in a hospital twice. You have to learn to let that go. Then Garcelle walks up to them and goes, girl. And Sutton's like, what? Garcelle gives her an uh-oh stare. And Sutton's like, what now? No. And Dorit's like, what happened? And Garcelle's like, Anna Marie is coming for you. Why? Your small esophagus? And Dorit's like, zoinks! And Sutton's like, well, not tonight. No. Dorit in the talking head's like, Garcelle loves to strike a match and throw it on the flames and then walk away. And that's exactly what she's doing with Sutton right now. I do want to remind people 2 episodes ago, or even the beginning of last week's episode, Dorit was doing the same thing. Erica was like, okay, okay, shitstar. Because Dorit was like, oh, did you fix that issue with Denise yet? And Denise was right there. I mean, everybody does the same kind of behavior. Son's like, well, does she know that my dad committed suicide? I'm an ambassador for NAMI, which is the National Alliance on Mental Illness. She better fucking stay the fuck away from me. Not tonight. All right, Sutton. We see Kyle's daughter giving her a hug, and Alexis is like, Mom, I'm so proud of you. We see Morgan say to Dorit, hey, how are you? I bet you're jelly because Kyle loves me. I heard you're a shitty scissor partner. And Dorit and Talking Head's like, I met Morgan about 2 years ago. It was before Kyle and Morgan got super close. We were all in London, and we had a dinner for Mauricio's birthday. Morgan stuck out like a sore thumb. You really didn't understand the connection, but very nice. Really, really shady comment right there. But also, I didn't realize Morgan was in her life for that long. Like 2 years ago. Like, what? And when her and Mauricio were still okay? Like, wow, it kind of like Morgan's working the long game here. Morgan's like, I didn't recognize you. I keep forgetting, Dorit. And Dorit's like, I mean, I changed it 6 months ago. I needed it. And Morgan's like, no, it looks really good, though. Her hair color. Dorit and the Talking Head's like, come to think of it, the dinner we had in London with Kyle and Mo was really one of the last times that we were together with Kyle and Mo as a couple. I love Dorit subtly like putting it out there of like, maybe Morgan made her move after that night. She saw me around Kyle and wanted me out of the picture because I was the number one threat. Morgan, holding a fruit skewer, is like, there's got to be a better way to eat this and not like this. And she slides a piece of fruit off sideways the long way. And Kyle holds her fruit skewer up and tells Morgan, you can eat this one. Semi-erotic. Kyle feeds it to her. Morgan's like, "You don't like cantaloupe. I think about that every time." Oh, God, they know each other's fruit tastes. Kyle holds up another bite. "Here you go. I don't want that one either." And Kyle feeds it to Morgan. Dorita's watching and finds it peculiar. "I wish PK would feed me cantaloupe. Whoa, I'm so jealous." Dorita in the talking head's like, "That's how rumors start. Fruit skewers." Kyle goes up to the mic and's like, "Is this thing on? Okay." And she's like, "We're here tonight to honor my best friend, Lorraine Shea." And they show Lorraine's sister, Lisa, and daughters, Riley and Tatum, and Mother Sugar in the crowd listening. And Kyle continues, "It's the 1-year anniversary of her passing. Suicide. It's such a difficult topic because nobody wants to talk about it, you know? And I want people to know that are struggling that there are resources that they can reach out to. And I can guarantee you every single person in this room has struggled themselves or known someone who struggled or lost a loved one." We see Garcelle and Sutton sitting together, and Garcelle is holding Sutton's hand. Sutton in our talking head says, "I was supposed to be at my family's house at the exact time my father shot himself. And I lived for a long time thinking if only I had been there on time. Because I'm always late. We know this. But now I just miss him." And we see photos of Sutton's dad holding Sutton when she was born in 1972 and when she was married in 1990. And then Sutton is teary in this talking head and says, "I miss that he's not seen my children. He'd be really, no, I also learned this. He is really proud of my children. He is really proud of me because he's still with us." Kyle continues, "Lorraine and I met in second grade when we were both 7 years old, and we did not like each other at all. We would come out to the play yard and look at each other up and down and hurling insults at each other. I think I blocked out what Lorraine said about me, making fun of me, but it was probably about being short or something because she was very tall, and I would make fun of her pointy ears." And we see a photo of them at 7 years old. You know, they grew up together. And Kyle and I talking head says, "We both were really stubborn. So if we had an argument, we both could not get ourselves to say sorry. So we had to come up with a word because saying I'm sorry was too difficult. So we would say Babaloo. I do not know why we would say Babaloo, and then we could move on and go about our day. But God forbid one of us could say sorry." Kyle continues her speech. "We went from that to being best friends. I am so grateful to have had Lorraine in my life and to have been her other half." And then back in the talking head, she says, 2 days before when I was talking to Lorraine, when she was talking to me, she said, "You should always appreciate your marriage." I said, "I will. So now we're having a hard time. I think I'm letting her down." That's a hard moment, right? That's got to be hard because there is a guilt associated that she is there, you know, her marriage isn't working. And there is missing your friend and then guilt on top of that because one of the last conversations you had with her was to say to always appreciate it. Now, I would say you could potentially reframe your thoughts there and say, I do appreciate it. I appreciate everything that we created, these businesses and these kids, a great, deep appreciation for it. But it doesn't mean you need to settle or stay in something. Kyle nears the end of her speech and he says, "As I hope everyone remembers Lorraine as a beautiful, energetic, positive, funny, smart, loving, devoted mom, wife, daughter, sister, and friend that she was." Doreen, their talking head, says, "I'm overcome with so much emotion because I know what Kyle's gone through this past year. I know how much it devastated her, and it's really important for me that she knows I'm here for her." And Kyle finishes her speech. "And tonight, you guys know we have a musical performance. Everybody, Morgan Wade." Kyle hugs Morgan. Morgan begins playing with her guitar. Kyle takes a seat to listen. Now, that was very beautiful. I didn't want to do the voices. I wanted to respect it. The one big thing that stands out for me is the song that Morgan sings. These are some of the lyrics. "If I could go, let down my hair. Would you take off those clothes you wear? Baby, hold me here tonight. So lay me down on the floor in the kitchen. Show my angry heart what I've been missing. Baby, take me away." And the whole song is, in fact, Maritza sent me the song lyrics last night, or we were talking about it in a group chat, because I was like, man, that is a weird song to play at this event. It says, yeah, If I could let down my hair, would you take off those clothes you wear and hold me here tonight? If I can learn to trust someone, my heart, it's like a loaded gun. Tell me it will be all right. I've been looking for some peace of mind, and with you here, I think it's time. Lay me down on the floor in your kitchen. Show my angry heart what I've been missing. Baby, take me away. I'm so tired of being alone. Won't you rest my angry bones? Baby, take me away. I want to feel something. Take me away. I'm so good at resisting. Been putting up my best defenses, but I am growing weak. Baby, baby, lay me down. Take the words out of my mouth. I'm too tired to speak. The woman in me, she needs the lover in you. The woman in me, she needs the lover in you. I think you know what to do. Lay me down on the floor in the kitchen. Show my angry heart what I've been missing. Scissors, scissors. No, so baby, take me away. So it keeps going, and it's like, whoa, it's like a sexy song, dude. It's a sexy, sexy song. And I just feel, and by the way, Morgan Wade, beautiful voice, right? Great singer, obviously really good. And then we were going back and forth with lyrics, and then we came up, when I make love with you, you're quiet as a mouse, even though you're someone who stole a goddamn house. And Maritza had, I took your kemosabe to buy you a hat, but instead I gave you a K tattoo. Sorry. Sometimes some things are so emotional you gotta laugh. I want to hear Morgan Wade go, it wasn't the song, it wasn't me. And I hit it in the sofa. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Banging the sofa. Sorry. Remember that song, It Wasn't Me? It wasn't me lyrics. Let's do it with the Morgan Wade voice. Oh, Honey came in and she caught me red-handed, creeping with the girl next door. Picture this way, we're both butt naked, banging on the bathroom floor. How could I forget that I had given her an extra key? All this time she was standing there, she never took her eyes off me. But she caught me on the counter. It wasn't me. Saw me banging on the sofa. It wasn't me. I even had her in the shower. It wasn't me. She even caught me on camera. It wasn't me. She saw the marks on my shoulder. It wasn't me. Heard the words that I told her. It wasn't me. Heard the screams getting louder. It wasn't me. She stayed until it was over. Honey came. Sorry. I know it's so funny. My dad's sleeping in the place I usually work. So my poor dad is just listening to me go, do, banging butt naked on the back. I'm losing it, man. Oh, God. But I know. Oh, Freddie Fat. But it was... No, Morgan has a very beautiful voice. That is something we can all agree on. Anyways, Garcelle. Okay, back to the serious. Okay, now we're serious again. Kyle says, I think since Lorraine died, I think life's too short. I'm really just trying to be happy and live my life. I don't want to have a wasted day of not feeling good or spending time with people I don't want to spend my time with or people that don't appreciate me. Okay, so that's Kyle's thesis statement right now. And it's a really good one, right? And she's at a place where she can afford it financially. And she is making some tough decisions, but she's like, you can tell, she's like, don't want to feel bad. That's why I'm not drinking, working out because I feel better when I do, hanging out with people like Morgan that actually make her happy, that titillate her, that excites her. And, you know, I mean, we should all be so blessed, but you have to go through hell to get to a place where you can do that. And a lot of people go through hell and they don't have the means to be able to make these tough decisions. Does that make sense? Anyways, so then Garcelle in the Talking Head says, the thing with losing someone is the finality of it. You're not going to get a phone call. You're not going to get a text. You're not going to hear their voice. I mean, I know for me with my mom, when she passed, it was like, as time went on, it was like, I'm really never going to see her or hear her or hug her. That's the hardest part. You know what? I'm so fucking tired of these shows. Like, isn't it wild lately that they're all bringing up moms dying? And I just like, dude, could we just fucking make fun of Morgan Wade's voice for a minute without, like, you know what I'm saying? Morgan ends her song. Everyone claps. Kyle hoots and hugs Morgan. And Kyle in the Talking Head says, as hard as this was, people wanted to be together to celebrate her, to hear those stories and be able to lean on each other. You know, that's all we can do. And Lorraine's mom, Sugar, says, Kyle, give me the strength. I love you so much. Lorraine should be here. And Kyle's like, she's here. She's here with us. And this episode ends with something that's very important. If you or someone you know is struggling with thoughts of suicide, please call the National Alliance on Mental Illness Helpline at 1-800-950-NAMI. 1-800-950-NAMI. Next time on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, we see Erica receiving instruction on choreography, and the instructor's like, so we're going to dip into our legs. Of course we are. And the instructor's like, titties out. Ooh, I'm a princess. And Erica's like, oh, God, what do I sign myself up on? She's loving every minute of it. Then we see Crystal on FaceTime with Garcelle going, when I met Anna Maria around Christmas, she told me she was a doctor. And Garcelle's like, and not a nurse? And then we see Sutton and Anna Marie. Sutton's like, you said that I made up. And Anna Marie's like, I didn't say you made it up. And Crystal's like, you said she lied. And Anna Marie's like, shut up. This is not about you. And Crystal's like, you're such a bitch. What is wrong with you? Finally, Crystal is activated. Boom. That is our recap for today, folks. If you like this podcast, please consider rating it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify. Subscribe. If you like it more, patreon.com/so bad it's good. Hello to all the baddies out there. We're doing a Patreon live on Monday. Come join us. My dad, Bill Bailey, will be there with us and having a good time. And I hope you have the best weekend ever. We made it to Friday. This was a long-ass week. So what do we always say? Eat something great, drink something good, tell people that you love them, spend some time by yourself, go hiking, exercise. Unless you don't want to do that, then just lay in your bed, stare at a ceiling, read something, right? Dance like nobody's watching, or dance with somebody. Kiss somebody, but only with their permission. Tell your kids that you hope that they are not doing anything bad, but you love them regardless. And I will see you here bright and early on Monday morning for another Pop Culture Roundup. Bye, you guys.